This is Academy of Tone 51.
51 indeed, yes.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Welcome. Welcome, Rich. Last week we've been to Hamburg.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to go.
Well, yeah.
But you had some amazing guests in my place, let's say that. Last week, number 50, if you didn't see it, it was a pretty amazing show with Lasse Lammert and Niels Finkhuizen joining you.
And we had some surprise guests. And one of them has actually signed this guitar. If you are familiar with this little icon here, it is an Otti Fund. The Otti Fund is Otto Waalkes, the comedian. And I've done a bunch of A-B comparisons of like guitars. There was a bunch of Blackguard Telecasters. Then there was 5, I think, Stratocasters from 1965. And I think 3 from 64. And one of those from the 64 belonged to Otto Waalkes. And I compared that guitar to 2 other guitars, and they were all good, but Otto's was the best. So I mentioned that to Thomas Weilbier, who is the owner of Number One. And he was kind of in contact with Otto and told him that I liked his guitar so much. Then Otto was so excited to say, hey, you know what? I just come by and I want to meet this guy who likes my guitar.
Yeah.
And then while he was there, we decided to even do a video. And there was a lot of things happening because Otto is, he is such a cool guy. He's so alive. I don't know how old he is, but maybe 70 or whatever, but he's like a young child and so authentic, Otto. And in the end, we had a lot of fun, and I showed him this guitar here, which is a BluGuitar 61 master build, which I picked up in Bremen at Andreas Glockmann's place, and it has been aged by my niece Leonie. And while talking about Otto's guitar, I talked to him about my guitar and talked about how dirty my real 61 Strat is. Just to compare that here.
So your niece did the aging process.
Yeah.
She's the custom shop.
Yeah, she's part of the custom shop.
Interesting. Is she like an artist or something, or?
No, well, she always has been painting as a hobby, but now she's studying Spielzeug, toy design.
Toy design. Okay.
Yeah, and she knows me, of course, the uncle, and see, this one is even more dirty. But I think she has done a brilliant job.
Yeah, that looks pretty authentic, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I've seen worse aging jobs from several larger companies where you pay many thousands of dollars to get your guitar aged.
Yeah, and this is a brand new guitar. You know? Look at that. And when I told the story to Otto, he was so excited that he said, okay, I have to do a signature for Thomas and Leonie for doing, such a great job on making a Relic guitar. And I think we have a little clip that shows what happened. There will be a longer one pretty soon, but maybe we look at this little clip just to see Otto.
I think I love you.
Okay, we give you the real dirty sound as well. Wait a minute.
Oh yeah, give me the dirty sound, please.
The dirty sound is here.
I didn't even know how to handle it. In those days it was just the volume up and down and the 3 different pickup, and that's all there was. We had not a real amp. We had an amp, an AC30. I had an AC30 later on.
Yeah.
First we had a DIN Accord or something, cheap, where everybody was in the bass and even the Gesangsanlage. Was heißt das auf English?
PA system.
The PA system with the voice, little lady, got all on one speaker. And we did for parties we played, and they not so loud, yeah. We had troubles, but they didn't know what was coming up.
Yeah, but did you do the Hendrix thing? You've been inspired.
I don't know. No, I was. Something like this.
Yeah.
You try to copy it. I used it for my comedy stuff. I played my own song, like Schwamm drüber Blues. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I think that, yeah.
Steht was Falsches auf der Tafel. Geh mit dem Schwamm drüber.
Ja.
Liegt der Joko der Sonne. Geh mit dem Schwamm drüber. Das ist Schwamm drüber Blues. That was my song. I could it on a folk club, you know, it was very quiet because I have an electric guitar. He was saying, what is he doing? What's he doing? That's not good. You're supposed to play electric guitar. Yeah, but this is a Fender.
Oh, if you have a good Fender, you are a good man, huh?
And you are a good man.
Yeah, Otto, what a great guy.
Yeah, I'm thinking for anyone like me who wasn't born and raised in Germany watching this guy, they're probably thinking, who on earth is he? And you were telling me he's maybe the equivalent of like someone from Monty Python or something,
Yeah.
like a legendary comic and musician.
To me, he's like Mr. Bean meets John Cleese.
Okay.
And Otto is huge in Germany. There were movies about Otto. I mean, a couple of them in the 70s and 80s or whenever. And me, my sister, we knew all the stuff from Otto, like ich mag mein Brechmittel nicht essen. Wie, du magst dein Brechmittel nicht essen? Das Kinderdoktor, Psychologe Dr. Prügelpeitsch. Hier gibt's das neue Brechmittel zum Kotzen. All that, you know, classics. You know, I know all the jokes when I was a kid, like whatever, 5, 6 years old. We all loved Otto, and he has some signature yodeling and stuff. Everybody in Germany knows Otto. Mm-hmm. Everybody, yeah. And being at this place in Hamburg. First we had, in the background you could see the Flying V, which belongs to Rudolf Schenker from the Scorpions. Mm-hmm. It's a 58 and it's about $350,000 to $500,000 worth. And I played that too.
Is it for sale right now?
No.
It's not?
No, it belonged to the singer of Heart, what is it, Nancy Wilson or something?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then Rudolf bought it from her, and of course he, a celebrity owner, and the guitar is killer. It's my first Flying V that I was totally impressed of. It's way too much money. I would never buy a guitar for that money, but I have to admit it is a killer guitar. It's so alive and so vibrant, and yeah. So this was happening in Hamburg, and the other stuff that was happening in Hamburg. By the way, in this room they have the original Star Club planks from the stage, and where the Beatles started. This is why we played that kind of which I kind of stole from them. And that's part of something I've done in the past, School of Rock, where I wrote tunes, sound-alikes. This was kind of Oasis meets the Beatles or whatever. It's like with all the cliches, how to teach the style of them. And so I can combine all of that. We can talk, you know, this is a classic. I have to show you, like, you know, it's a major scale, G major, D over F sharp, and then E major with the G kind of chord, and then D and a C9, a G, but with a B in the bass, like the third, the major third in the bass, and then it's the A7 dominant, and to this dominant and back to G, DG. So it is stolen from Bach anyhow,
yeah.
You know. And okay, that's the thing about the Beatles and Hamburg and the Star Club and today's intro song. And the other thing of today is the 14th of April is Ritchie Blackmore's birthday. Mm-hmm. He turned 76 today.
76. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we do a little Ritchie Blackmore. Okay, this was the end of this. Yeah.
Well, happy birthday, Ritchie Blackmore. I guess.
Yeah.
You've
And now
broken
we-
a string in his honor.
And now we smash the guitar. You go,
Yeah.
but no, I can't do this because it
not
has.
that one.
Yeah, not that one. It has the original Otto signature here. But I got another fresh blue guitar.
Also picked up in Hamburg, right?
Yeah, and this is a blue guitar. I always wanted to have a blue guitar, and this is. I wanted my car to be like that color, but it wasn't available unless I would have paid extra money for it.
Yeah.
And so I got that guitar. Yeah. So here. Ritchie's too good. Anyway, this is my personal new blue guitar. There's only one existing.
Will there be more available to order? I mean, this is a pretty spectacular color. That's personally one which I would go for if I was allowed to pick a color.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's guys out there watching this who would be thinking, wow.
We are working on something like that, but you know, we've been working on blue guitars forever, and they're all custom made, and we get like a few every year, and the waiting list is very long. But one day, let's see. You know, we know some people. Anyway.
Yeah, if you're watching this and you're on the list and you would like a blue one, just write it in the comments, just so I can see for myself how many of you want a blue one.
Yeah. Okay. The blue guitar.
Yeah.
What else? Hamburg. We were still in Hamburg. I shot, I think, 20 or 30 videos, endless video shoots, and one of them was with, of course, our live stream from last week, and we had Lasse Lammert, the metal producer, and we had Nils Finkeisen, And the day after we had the live stream, during the night we had kind of a A/B shootout with metal amps. And this was like, okay, bring in your 14, bring in whatever, you know, your Diesels, and we had the Iridium, and it's like, we have it on video, we will show this sometimes later. It's like unbelievable. When he was playing, I was doing the A/B thing, you couldn't tell which amp it was. It was unbelievable. And I never had a 14 when I designed the M1 Iridium. And it's all in there. I could, whatever was on the table, I could do it. It was so scary. Unbelievable. We'll show that videos pretty soon.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that as well.
Yeah. So this was the Hamburg trip.
And all the videos that you were making, well, the vast majority are for Number One Guitar Store, right? So these videos will be coming out, if I'm correct, every Friday evening they release one where you're playing. So if you need another fix of Thomas playing some old vintage guitars every week on the Number One Guitar Center YouTube channel, you can see them.
Yeah, it's called The World of Vintage Guitars. And Thomas Weilbier, the owner of Number One, asked me to do that. So I kind of stay always the same guy, that you know how he sounds, like I sound, when playing different guitars. So there's like a reference point. It's like me playing those guitars. With some guitars I have to struggle, I'm honest. There were jazz guitars, I'm not a jazz guy, man. I was suffering. But in the end, you know, I brought my looper and I played something like, you know, fake jazz. But it will be fine for me to watch me suffer too. Okay, maybe you can't tell, but for me it's like, when I can do the Strat things, I feel so home. And any Strat, and even with the original frets when they are not so high, a Strat, I can play any Strat. That's not a problem for me. But other guitars is like, weird, and that gives me sometimes a good feedback on how other people might feel when they play a fresh instrument. And it's something that brings me down to earth once in a while. And I have access to killer guitars. Yeah. And that's widening my experience about the real deal instruments. And it's not like every vintage guitar is a great sounding guitar. Some of them are killer. Absolute, the best of the best, not only because they're so expensive or whatever, no, tone wise, I'm more into the tone. And second, there are a few guitars that are worth a lot of money, but they are not so inspiring. But if there's a killer vintage guitar, it's like the ultimate level, for me at least. And to have the ability to play such instruments is kind of the way to adjust my criterias where I'm looking for in my own instruments, and it inspires me kind of, maybe this is what I'm missing. There should be a little bit more. Yeah. That's the beauty of doing that kind of thing. And we shot, I think, 25 guitars.
Did you yourself ever come close to buying one of the guitars that you were demoing for Number One?
Of course, you get tempted, but it's not my budget. In the last shoot already, there was a 55. Was it a 50? Yeah, it was a 55 Les Paul, all gold. Man, that was a guitar. And then Rudolf Schenker Flying V, again, but I mean, 350,000. This is where it starts. Yeah. This is like the minimum offer. Forget it. It's not for me. But and I had a few guitars where I refused to even tune them because I don't want to break anything. It's like I play that, and it's like, but this is all mint condition stuff. This is like they have what is a trésor in English? Like
Safe.
a safe, yeah, a safe for those instruments, and a huge insurance, and then yeah, and they actually restring the guitars for that video shoot, and that's a problem when you usually go to a collector. They have those beautiful guitars, but sometimes the strings are 3 years old, and it feels like, greasy, and the strings are dead, so you can't compare. But when I do the video shoots, fresh strings,
Yep.
same setup, 3 days of great guitars, and that's nice for my ears to adjust to the real deal.
Yeah. Do you think most of those guitars will be bought to be played, or will they also be bought to be displayed and put in collections and possibly never even picked up and strummed?
I think that the ones that are the really expensive ones, they will be collector items, and only guys like Rudolf Schenker can afford to go on stage with such a guitar, or can afford to buy one like that first and go on stage too. I mean, would you go with your house on stage, have a beer, and see somebody leaving with your $350,000 item? Oh, hey, have a nice one. Enjoy my V. You know?
Yeah, exactly. I think the only person I know who currently, after the pandemic, will be playing really expensive vintage guitars is Joe Bonamassa.
Yeah.
And if someone was to steal his 59 Les Paul, well, he's got 10 more at home anyway, so
grabs
he's
another
okay.
one. Yeah. So who cares when? But that's him, and all the rest is like more collectors. By the way, Bonamassa was buying the V case in Hamburg for his V, and only the case was 20,000 euros.
Okay.
I mean, it was the real deal case, and some people want a real deal V case. I usually have gig bags for my 61 Strat. I find them so handy.
Yeah.
Why have a case?
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Loads of love coming in for the blue guitar.
Oh.
We've got people commenting about it already. We've got Hardy saying, wow, great blue guitar. We want to buy that. We've got Ben saying, I want that blue guitar so badly. Blue guitar is quite hard to say, by the way.
Yeah.
And David is also saying, yes, I want that blue guitar too. Sounds amazing. So there you go. Plenty of people wanting it so far. And Ben says, I would camp in front of the blue guitar office in order to be the first to get that blue guitar. See, there's a future for those.
Our landlord just arranged a new parking lot in front of our office. It's pretty clean, yeah. And there's even a tree. You can camp there. But it will take years to get you a blue guitar, unless you get that one. And but the thing is, sometimes I have something like that in my head and it needs to be done.
Yeah.
Then to see how it is, how it feels, how it is in reality, I always like that color, and the BluBox is kind of similar. Maybe we can show in the overhead here. See, this is like this has the faded. There's a little bit more petroleum in it.
Yeah, it is like Lake Placid Blue that was in smoky bars for 20 years, and it aged, and it looks genuinely old.
Yeah, and this is a week old. 1 week old.
Amazing.
Yeah, amazing. Even the crackles and all. Okay, I'm excited. What other questions do we have before we go into our real topic for today?
We also have people asking if you'd ever make a custom metal blue guitar to go with the Iridium, because that's another thing. But I guess for you personally, that's I'm not really your bag, is it?
I would love to do so many things. The problem is we have limited resources. We have limited resources on the team and like manufacturing. And I don't like to go to a standard manufacturer where them all are going, asking for, can you do a blue guitar, put my logo on it, and it's the same like a Samick or what. I'm not saying any other names, but I've been to the factories in China, and I'm not saying that I'm not making great guitars. What I'm saying is I want extra level, and therefore I spend more time on the products. I'm looking for somebody that can manufacture that kind of quality.
Yeah.
And we have the quality, We have the recipe, but we don't have the quantity. And now that's the challenge. But you know, at least we have the first step, so we can show it's possible.
Yeah.
Because you know, I can swap from this guitar to another one, and they are all on the same level in tone and cosmetics. So the recipe is created, and we know the critical parts to make that right. And now maybe we find somebody that can reproduce it in okay numbers. I'm not expecting to make 1,000 guitars. That's
Yeah, but I mean, part of the desirability is also the exclusivity, right? It's a similar thing in the pedal world with pedals like the Analog Man King of Tone, where people will happily sit on a 3-year waiting list in order to get one of these pedals.
Well,
and
get
some
a clone.
some people buy a clone, and some people aren't prepared to wait, and they'll pay double the price of the pedal to buy one used. And some people wait for 3 years and buy one for $300 and sell it the next day for $600.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's part of that precious item business kind of thing. For me, it's more about getting, you know, guitars that are worth or that I can't find on the market. Otherwise, I go to a shop and buy a Fender whatever custom shop, and they are great. But these, I believe, are better. Otherwise, I would have no reason to do it. You know, I mean, shall I compete with Fender? I mean, they are the biggest brand on the planet.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even try to go there. I just love my Strats, and I try to have more of my feel into these guitars, and this is where the whole thing came along. And if a custom shop would do exactly the same, I wouldn't even, you know, start anything like that. You know, it's not needed. But there's, you know, there's all my. This is how a Strat sounds how I like a Strat to sound, and this all comes from my original 61, which is the real deal, but touch modified here, a touch there, and of course the selection of the components. And then I spent years with my guitar, and everything is kind of slightly tweaked towards what I like, and then it's different from the mass. That's the story.
Yeah, and of course then it's going to take time to find someone who can do it justice.
Yeah,
exactly the way that you want it.
That's the problem. You know, I'm kind of picky, and it would be so easy, but you know, the pickups already is 25 years collaboration with somebody like Andreas Kloppmann.
Yeah,
and the start was already great, but it's like another set, another version, another year, another 10 years, and now we are on that level. And and I'm not saying there are other great pickups out there, but these pickups are doing what I like. And
and of course people who are fans of you and what you do and the sound that you make, if they have the Amp 1, if they pick up this guitar, they know that they're going to be kind of a good match, you know.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because you've designed them and your ears have been involved in matching the two together.
Yeah. I mean, if you want my sound, get a Strat. If you don't have the budget, get a vintage, you know, one of those affordable ones. And you are already in my ballpark. I played gigs with my vintage, and I forget about if it's the real deal 61 or the vintage. After the second song, I do music because it's a tool that's actually inspiring. It's that good. Of course, if I can swap it in a second to the real deal, I can find a little bit more excitement in that original 61.
Yeah.
And this kind of sits closer to the original 61.
Yeah.
Of course, we spent so much. I tortured Trevor Wilkinson to do stuff like this tremolo. You know, I mean, this is a copy of the very, very early Fender tremolos.
So this is a Wilkinson bridge,
Yeah, he called it now the year one hardware, but I talked him into that. I mean, and he was so cool. It's like, he said, I've done everything, I improved everything. If you want that, I do it for you. Because he already did what he wanted to do. and it works. If it's set up properly, it stays in tune, and it has that tone, that original tone, and that's what I wanted.
Yep.
With cold rolled steel and the right saddles and the right hardness of the plate and blah blah blah. Oh, you know, every detail.
Yeah. So there you go, guys. You might be waiting a bit to get a blue one, but you know, keep writing us, keep hounding Thomas, and maybe one day he'll have to do one, and that would be nice. The other question that people are writing in their droves, just before we move on to the main topics of this evening, is AmpX. They would love to just hear anything, if you've got any progress, status updates, or anything you can say.
We are constantly working on this. The guy behind the camera can't sleep because he's always thinking about software in AmpX. We have changed a few things. One of them is we brought in 4 little displays on top of the X controls under the flap. So the wording or whatever the function of the knob is changed with the display. So of course, yeah, we are tweaking. Whenever it's ready, it's ready. And I know you can't wait. I can't wait, but we are making progress every day, and there will be the day when there's the amp. At this point, I'm actually kind of, I felt more rushed half a year ago. Thought, man, we have to get on with this. And the longer we work on this, the more I know it's not about being fast, it's about being right. And whenever it's right, it comes out. And we're working on it. And as I said, there are changes, and there are some other changes. But these are all in favor of making the product the best for what it is.
Yeah.
And this takes time. There's a question. Lately, the vintage guitars are produced in Vietnam. Bad quality warning. Wait a minute, guys. The vintage guitars always have been produced in Vietnam. And we had beautiful guitars from Vietnam. And we had some that are not so good. The point why Vietnam, they asked me if we could change the production from Vietnam to China, because in China there's a factory that makes a more consistent quality. I had one sample and the sample had no mojo. So I said, I don't want 1,000 guitars that are mechanically well built but sound boring. So I said, please stay with the first manufacturer from Vietnam. The issue with Vietnam has been, there are a lot of hand work on the guitars actually, and the tolerances can be sometimes not so good. And I know a few people had bad luck, but I know on the other hand, many people had brilliant guitars for the money. So that's what's going on with the vintage. And I can't control every guitar because I'm not in the factory. The only thing is, when I see something that is not right, I tell people to complain about in the shop, at the distributor, and at the manufacturer, or like JHS, who owns the brand vintage. Mm-hmm. So that's the only game we can play, because I want to see only guitars with my name on it that have a good quality. Mm-hmm. Nobody, it doesn't make any sense for that. And from what I know, I would say over 90% of the guitars are brilliant. And there are a few exceptions from that. And I personally feel very sorry if somebody has that. But in the price range for whatever, 350 or 400 euros, it's hard to get a boutique kind of quality control, unfortunately. And back in the days when the distributor in Germany was music and sales, I had personal access to every guitar sold in Germany. And Knut Bausch checked them all, and if something was not right, he called me and I could decide this is a good one or send it back. And the older ones, from Germany at least, I can tell they are all good. And now I don't have that much access because the new distributor in Germany is Musikwein, and they're nice guys and they try their best, but I'm not in the house. I'm not there and saying this one has to go back, And that's actually, I think it's everybody that sees something of something that is not right should send it back straight, not in the shop, not to the customer. Period. When you see a BluGuitar product that has a problem, send it back, because it's our problem, not your problem. And that should be the same with every other product in the market generally. And long term, if you have customer happy, customer satisfaction because of good quality, and of course, nobody is perfect. Even with the BluGuitar stuff, even if we check stuff 5 times, there can exist a problem. But if we try to solve your problem, this is what we should do. And then we can build a trustful relationship, and this is what it's all about. Yeah. And everybody in the chain, if it's the manufacturer or the wholesaler, blah, 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 not doing the job or taking the responsibility is not doing a good job, to my opinion. Good. So this was the warning. Any more questions, or shall we?
Let's move on to one of the main themes before we start to run out of time.
Yeah. The main theme, let's put it that way. We had the cabinet theme for a while, and I'm still all about cabinets. Why? I said this again, because the cabinet is more than 50% of your tone. And which means if you use a cabinet simulation, it like the BluBox, that's so important. But the real cabinet, this is where the tone comes from. And most people think, I have to buy this new amp and then everything changes. Well, there are a lot of changes, but if you get a different cabinet, a new cabinet, the changes are even bigger. Of course, it's not exciting because you don't have the 10 knobs here and the 4 channels and the reverb and the effects loop and all the play, the kids' toy situation. A cabinet is a cabinet. But this is where the tone comes from. And the good thing about that is, even when I was in Hamburg and talking to all the metal guys, it's like, man, it's all cabinets. It's cabinets, it's IRs or whatever. It is where most of the tone is created that works for them in the studio situation, in the live situation. The amp is important as well. But the cabinets are totally underrated when you think of tone. So, in general. So, we talked about the NanoCab in 3-4 episodes back.
Yeah, I think episode 49, maybe?
That's 49 probably, or 48. And then 49 was the FATCAB probably, and 50 was in Hamburg without the cabinets.
Yep.
And now we have 51. And today is the TWINCAB. So, maybe I talk a little bit about the TWINCAB first. Why did I do a TWINCAB? At the beginning, BluGuitar started with a NanoCab and a FATCAB. Did we start with both at the same time? I can't actually remember. It doesn't matter, but my philosophy was, let's try to be as small as can be and still be giggable. That was the idea. And the amp is so small and so powerful that some people came along, maybe 60 watts, and they were not ready to go that big step from their 4x12 with a Marshall head. I mean, this is where I came from too. And then to what's the next level, to like a NanoCab. It's like an amp1 is so tiny, and then the NanoCab is even, what is this? And I do understand that. And if you are used to have more speakers than one speaker that move air, there is the FATCAB, the NanoCab, but the TWINCAB has 2 speakers, and that makes more noise, that moves more air. And I thought, okay, let's do a TWINCAB, a 212 cabinet as well. So what can we do with 212s? One thing is you can do it stereo, okay, easy. For those who want a single cabinet, use it in stereo, we should have, the kind of connector plate that allows mono in or each speaker individually done. Easy. Second, some people have it vertical, others have it horizontal. Okay, let's have both options and make the logo. Can we see it? Okay, here's my knee. So let's make the logo turnable so it looks not scheiße when it's on the side. So anyway, is it correct? Yes, it's correct. That's another thing I found. And of course, it follows the same philosophy to make it ultra lightweight and compact. I have a convertible car. It's always a good thing to see if that works. How to drive to a gig with a convertible car and a 2x12. And if the top is down, you have to move the front seat towards the front, and the cabinet has still to fit in on the back seats. So if it's too deep, it doesn't work. A 4x12 and a convertible car goes only top up, cabinet in, top down. I've done this the last time, but forget it. It's like no fun. So 212, if it's lightweight, you can have the handle. You move the seat like to the steering wheel, and you slide it in. Works. So this is another criteria. And I don't want any cases or stuff which makes it even more heavy and even bigger. So therefore we have the big padded covers. So this was another criteria. And then of course the most important is the sound. In thinking about the sound, I wanted to have a smooth sounding 2x12, which is the TWINCAB. And therefore there's 2 things you can do. One is having both speakers in serial. When you connect 2 speakers in parallel, the speakers sound more in your face. Maybe you like that, maybe you don't. But I thought, okay, I have the serial version because they are kind of sweeter, more vintage, more balanced, more the way I like it. So that was the first thing, serial. And then of course I try to work on the housing and on the speaker. I always have a certain prototype of the housing, then try a speaker, then I modify the housing again, and then I ask for another sample of another speaker, and it takes a while to get everything maxed out.
So you didn't just use the same speakers as are in
No.
the FATCAB or the NanoCab?
No. Every cabinet with BluGuitar has its own speaker. So its own specially designed for that particular cabinet. For the NanoCab, for the FATCAB, and for the TWINCAB. And if you swap the speakers, you will find out, some of them don't make any sense. Like, it's hard, for instance, to get a FATCAB speaker into a NanoCab. It sounds not good. The other way around, it works. but you're missing out something. It would make a FATCAB sound a bit creamier in a way, but you're not getting as much oomph. So, you know, I maxed out everything. Of course, for my taste. Yeah, that's somebody else might have a different taste, which is fine. But at least somebody has to take the decision that this is how I like it. And I always double check if it works on stage as well. So I played gigs with all my cabinets. I played twin cabs. I play FATCAB, but I also played gigs with the twin cab. And the first thing I noticed is like, it's fun, especially if you play outdoors, open air. I ended up being a bit too loud. There's a video from actually St. Wendel, from Schlossplatz, or what's it called in front of the...
Yeah, the Schlossplatz, yeah.
Yeah, this was a gig where I, on YouTube, where I played the twin cab. Like, this was the last version of the prototype, just to see how it works. And you can tell the guitar is pretty loud. It sounds super. It sounds so smooth. It sounds so schmatzig and round. And everything super present, but it's like almost like Jimi Hendrix. It's like 80% guitars and some drums in the background. It felt great on stage, but be aware that this cabinet moves some air.
So who would you say that the twin cab is most suited for?
Well, everybody that likes to have that kind of impressive punch.
Yeah.
And of course, guitar volume. To me, if you are not allowed to play that loud, I would rather go for a FATCAB or a NanoCab and kind of crank that a bit more. To me, that's something I got used to, and I like it better than having a bigger cabinet, like underpowered. But again, that's a personal thing.
Yeah.
But if you are playing like arenas, if you are playing outside events, and if you are AC/DC kind of officially certified loud guitar player, go for it. You know, and if you are a bedroom player, why should you have a twin cab? That's you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds good at low volume too, but you know, it's we have other cabinets that make much more sense for that.
Yeah.
You know what? Let me do the screwdriver thing. Get rid of the BluGuitar, BluGuitar. And now you will see what's inside. Oops.
Shall I get out of the way, or?
Just a slight. Our nice display here. Amps everywhere.
Yeah, Rene is saying in the comments he couldn't imagine playing metal without at least a 2x12.
Yeah, that makes sense. To me, that makes sense because, you know, metal needs tight low end, and to get tight low end and a certain volume. I cut your cable here. Okay. The thing is, the speaker, the kind of the headroom you get from two speakers, is a good one. It's good to go.
Yep.
Okay, this way around. So. Ah, man. I suck. Yeah. So let me do this quickly so I can explain a bit more about the idea. So the first thing you might notice is you have tons of screws. Why? Because this is a big back. What is it called? Back of the cabinet.
Yeah. Back.
Back. Yeah, it's a big back, and this shouldn't rattle or this shouldn't move, and therefore I need all the screws. Secondly, it's pretty thin. Can the camera show this? I try to show it like this.
About a centimeter.
Yeah, it's not too big. So then the next thing is inside here is what is a kind of a bracing kind of a thing that connects the front baffle to the rear.
Yep.
Which stabilizes the back and makes the whole construction stiff. The next thing is this thing here, which connects top to bottom. So this is kind of how to make this cabinet as stiff as possible using the thinnest option in wood. And as you can see, it's the birch multiply wood,
Yep.
The classic stuff. The speakers in this cabinet are actually not blue. I tell you why. Because it's extra money. And twice extra money is twice extra money. And it's not like we are making big money on cabinets. No, the problem is we are actually making less money on this cabinet. And it was so critical that I said, okay, fuck it, then we go at black standard.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Otherwise, they would have been blue. But you see, this is how it's designed. Then there is a little bit of dampening wool down here. Maybe let me move this over here. No, nobody sits. Can we show?
You can show the wool on the back panel, maybe, if you lift that up a little bit.
Okay,
They can
here's
see.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Can you see? Yeah. Now you see it's half covered with that kind of dampening wool.
Yep.
And there are two portation holes with no tunnel, which are these guys here. And it is only a super low end that comes from that. But I found when the cabinet was totally closed, it was not as endlessly wide open in the low end. Yeah, anyway, so this is how the TWINCAB looks inside, okay?
So how many stages of design did you go through to get it right, to get the ports right, to get the different amounts of wood for the stiffness that you needed?
Yeah, of course. In that case, I'm working on cabinets for decades, so I know a few things. But to max it out, I had a bigger back panel here, thicker. I had a different thickness in the whole cabinet. I had experimented, how many? I think four prototypes at least. And then experimenting with the size and measuring. It's part measuring and it's part hearing. So I make the quick one and just put it out of the way, or did I ruin our video studio by doing this? And there's one screw somewhere here on the carpet. Well, we'll find it tomorrow. Thank you.
There we go.
So, James Blonde. It's good for your curly hair. What about this?
Yeah, that's what I do every morning. It takes half an hour, but looks good.
Looks good, yeah. So, and by the way, I'm so impressed by this. I'm not making any. I have to make advertising for Makita. This thing, I think it's. How many cabinets did I unscrew with that? How many times was it charged? I can't even remember when it was the last time. I'm so impressed about how good screwdrivers are. I mean, I'm just amazed. Yeah. Okay. Do you have any questions about the TWINCAB?
We got lots of sort of random questions, nothing about the TWINCAB yet, but a couple of interesting ones I thought. Have you ever thought about making BluBox IRs available for third-party IR loaders? Or are there limitations from doing it technically?
You know what? Not at this point. And I think there are guys out there that their job is doing IRs. And I don't want to compete with them. To me, you know, Glenn Fricker, for example, or Lasse, all the metal guys, they are so proud to present their knowledge in doing that kind of cab thing. And for me, I was just looking for the most, or for the easiest solution to get the speaker simulation with the BluBox. It's like plug and play and have nothing, you know, there's just input, output, done, and 2 controls. And therefore, I've done my own IRs and maxed them out. And answer is not at this point. Yeah, because, you know, when I do this, then there's the next guys. I mean, if you want, you can capture the capture here from it, you know. If you have a software for making IRs, you can even capture a BluBox, and then you have it like 2nd generation. But hey, get the real deal, get a BluBox and be happy.
Yeah.
This was my concept about it.
Yeah, okay. Rene says, how sturdy are the BluGuitar cabinets? I mean, they're built for being gigged, they're built for being used on stages. Have you ever had one break or anything like that?
No.
Or, no?
And I had some shipped without a case, just with a with the cover, and then on the cover they put on a label like "Sent to Saarbrücken," and it was in the mail, and it survived. Of course, it was beaten up without a box, without any extra covers, but it survives. It's pretty sturdy, and as you can see with all these extra connections from front to back, from top to bottom, and these many screws, I mean, of course, you can break everything if you... This comes to my next thing. We have to make our video of how hard is it to break an M1.
True, we do. Yep.
Yeah, okay, that's an insider here. Okay, that's... If I would love to show you more about speakers one day. We can't do it here so well because it's kind of my warehouse thing next door, and the speakers are all the way behind the amps and the guitars and stuff. But in a few weeks or months, we might have a different studio, and then I might go and dive into my speaker collection. I would love to do that for you guys too, because I spent so much time collecting speakers, and I think it's exciting to see what speakers can do.
Yeah, and also to swap speakers out of the 3 cabs that you have.
Yeah,
and to kind of explain why we chose what we did for BluGuitar.
Yeah, absolutely. And for a particular cabinet, that's something. Okay, if I reduce the amount, we could do it even here. But then give me some time. Maybe next week. But I have to clean the room first and see what I've got. But hey, yeah, we could. Let me think about it. You make me start thinking about it.
Yeah, I think that'd be an exciting episode for the future.
Okay, another thing here is the BluBox. I would like to talk, but
yes.
Thinking about a cabinet, to me, the cabinet is still so important because it's part of the electrical guitar. The electric guitar is the piece of wood with the pickups and the amp and the cabinet. And if you take that away, you take away what I consider to be the magic of the instrument. Okay. Now therefore I would never go on stage without a cabinet. Even if I would use in-ears, which I did in the past, I still had a cabinet on stage to make the guitar react or interact with the moved air from the guitar speaker.
Yeah.
Otherwise I can play synthesizer. That's my style of guitar playing. If you don't care about that, all good. But for me it's so important, and I have to repeat that several times because I'm afraid that there is a younger generation that is losing it. Because when you think about where rock and roll started, it was, of course, Elvis, blah, blah, blah. And then it peaked with Jimi Hendrix. And Jimi Hendrix is the guitar hero of the guitar heroes of the electric guitar. So, and what he did, he was having full stacks. Okay, we all know full stacks is not the most convenient thing these days. But listen to the sounds of Jimi Hendrix. This is how alive it can be. And therefore, if you have no cabinet, this kind of life is lost. It's like a one-way street. You put the energy into the strings, you saturate it, and it comes out of to the PA. But there is not this kind of animal that you have to tame. And that's the beauty of the electric guitar to me. And a younger generation is kind of losing this by nature because everybody blames them to be too loud. Mm-hmm. And my words here is for, hey guys, there is a good compromise possible. There is a cabinet on stage which is at the level of the drums, and everybody should be happy. And of course, if you play electrical drums and the audience is louder than the band, I'm not in the band anymore. I had this actually once, where I played in Luxembourg, a very strange culture. You played top 40, and then the whole night we were playing, and the audience was just talking. It felt so strange. And then when we stopped, they said, "Oh, you're the best band ever." And they were totally excited, and they started to clap, but the whole gig was no reaction. It was just weird, not my thing. For me, the point is there's a real interaction of the band, of the players, and the audience. And a cabinet is part of that. So, period. That's my preach when it comes to cabinets. And if you have in-ears because you're a singer or you like that because you have a super big stage, like back in the days when I was with Tic-Tac-Toe, I needed to have in-ears just because of the latency that was happening for the sound to travel. It wasn't possible. You needed to have in-ears. But still, the air was moved by a cabinet. So that's the thing. Okay, next level is now recording. If you try to record a guitar tone, you'll find a lot of, if you're not experienced, you find a lot of problems that things like, that sounds so good here, and my recording sounds horrible. And the reason for that is mic placement. So, of course, if you buy a BluBox, in the BluBox, I did choose the cabinets, I chose the microphones, I did the placement, I did everything, maxed it out, and kind of, froze that in an IR. So that's what I've done there. But let me show. I see this little fellow here. Actually, it's not little. It is the big brother of the SM57, which is here from our last video. Come on.
Some pretty good feedback about a resilient cabinet, by the way. Rene dropped his AMP1 Iridium, a hard drop from 1.5 meters onto concrete. It's also had a full beer shower, and it's still going. So that's some pretty good feedback on what you can do with the amps. I mean, we don't recommend that you take showers with your AMP1 or drip beer on them, but...
Well, first thing is let them dry before you switch them on, and then see what happens. Here, back to the microphones. This is the Shure SM57. Don't make it too sharp. There's my mobile number on it. Yeah, but it's like, I used to do that because my mics always got stolen. Or, I mean, everybody's got a 57.
Yeah.
So this is the classic. And the funny thing is that mic always works. For me, it's like put it in front of a guitar speaker and it gives you the sound of an electric guitar.
Yeah.
It is a bit upper, mids and highs. I like it to a certain extent. But it's always great foundation. And then you can blend in a second mic with some room or with some low end or whatever. And if you want a bigger tone in the same direction, this Shure SM7B, it's what it's called. It's like the big brother. The capsule has a bigger diameter, I think, and yeah, it's used for voice a lot. There's a lot of radio stations where
yeah, well, a lot of YouTubers as well. And if you guys watch podcasts and that kind of stuff, often the SM7B has a foam covering over this, but the vast majority of people on a professional budget will be using SM7Bs.
Yeah, and that used to be my favorite microphone. Besides that, a lot. Of course, then I have the Sennheisers, blah, blah, blah. And these are both dynamic microphones. So now you can place them in front of the cabinets. And this is now the big question about our cabinets. As we can see, I can put my finger, and here is nothing. I cannot push the grill glove here. So here is the frame, there is open, and here is another kind of hard wood thing behind it, and the same down here. So on the 2x12, this is where the speaker is at. The professionals use mobile phones. Let me try if it works with mine. And see. And then you can look inside, and by the reflection you see, this is where the cone is at and where the center is. So you can see, I mean, the camera might not see it from this angle, but the reflection can show you what is behind the grill cloth. And then what I usually do is, this is the center, and of course don't put the microphone in front of the wood that is behind. Go slightly on top of it, and then try to move from the center to one side, and then you will find a place where it's getting warmer. In the middle, it's kind of very bright, but the more you go to the outside, the darker and the warmer it gets. Mm-hmm. And then if you angle it, there's another kind of level added to the tone. Somewhere kind of in the middle, but not 100% in the middle, is my personal thing. Here we got a speaker, a nice greenback. Let me see, what is this one? This is one from the 80s, G12M, British made in Ipswich, 25 watts. Here comes another thing, talking about speakers, cork. That's the good stuff. The second best is paper. And then comes the foam. Cork is super expensive. Anyway, so where I place them, so this would be like in the center, to the center, very bright. Okay, if you move it a little bit out of the center, it's getting to a nice place. And what I usually did, I put it a little bit off axis, but parallel to the membrane. And that gave me, especially with a bright microphone like that, I got, more lows and the tone. And then I can, when it's angled, I can still move on top of the dust cap to the cone. This is where it happens. So that's what I usually did. I have to say did because now I use the BluBox.
Yeah, I mean, think of the advantages or the disadvantages of having to do that every night.
Yeah.
If you're going to a venue, and it's a lottery, isn't it? Finding the right place, the right angles, trusting in the soundman to do it, hoping that the mics don't get kicked over during the show.
You know what I did for the last 15 years already? I took these mics apart and I put the capsule in front of the speaker, put the grill glove on it, and had my XLR out on my cabinets. And I used this to do this even back in the Hughes and Kettner days. So my cabs have been modded with SM57s and SM7 too. So I had my personal FATCAB had an SM7 built in. And of course, only the capsule in front of the membrane and the transformer I put inside of the cabinet. But here comes the truth. Since the BluBox is out, I have two XLR options. One is the microphone in the cabinet and the other one is the BluBox. And the BluBox sounds better, period. I was shocked myself because I was at a live gig and I used the wireless system. So I was behind the board, the band was playing, I was playing with the band, but me being behind the board, listening to the PA, swapping for my beloved 7B in my FATCAB to the BluBox and said, I'm never using a microphone again, live. End of it, done. So next thing is being on that level using a BluBox. I can give you a few hints how to make that sound best. And just before I left for Hamburg, like last weekend, I finished a recording for a friend of mine. And I was using the AMP1, I was using the BluBox, and I had a NanoCab. And I used the NanoCab just as a load. And it sounds killer. So let me show you. How can we do this? One zip, and then the glass is empty, and then I think about.
So the next segment is going to be talking about loads versus reactive loads versus dummy loads or no loads, and what would be the best way for you to perform.
Let me show you what we've got. I need my guitar, or there's this.
Can you explain briefly the term load, what you mean in that sense?
Yeah.
Just for anyone out there who might not know what that means?
Can you hold that for a sec? The thing is, a guitar speaker is having a resistance. Where's here we go. Okay, sorry. So, and this resistance is a load for an amplifier. Otherwise, the amplifier puts out all the energy into nothing. And if there is something to move, like a membrane, using a coil to make a magnetic field, that resistance puts a load to the output of the amplifier. So the point now is, if the speaker, we always talk about impedance. The impedance is not a consistent resistance at every frequency in the frequency spectrum. It's a curve. And it varies from speaker to speaker, even from housing. And let me show you what happens. First, what we got now. Oh, super, old Strat. Now I'm in the AMP1, I'm going out to the BluBox. Just to prove it here, this is what we get. So this is BluBox. So, and I have no load, which is possible on the AMP1. And this is how it sounds. And it sounds pretty good. So. Why is it humming? You know what? Get rid of the hum. We don't need a A/B switcher. I want to do esoteric comparisons. So, is it better now? Yes. See? Okay. We probably get a new switcher. Sounds good. I mean, so now I plug in this thing, and this is connected to a 4x12 or to half of a 4x12 next room to give you a real load. So the load brings down the level, so I have to compensate it. I think it sounds a touch more alive. I don't know if you hear it, I hear it. Okay, unplug it again. Adjust the volume. I actually compensate that here, but the real deal is the real deal, and the compensation is almost as good. But if you don't hear it, doesn't matter. I can show you another thing. Do we have just a plug with nothing in there? An open cable, a patch cable. Do we have a patch cable? Yeah. Thank you. So,
Poo Ninja says his wife's a bit more active, a bit more reactive when he's at higher volume levels. That makes sense. I think
Oh.
we know that one.
ouch.
Oh.
So that was me. I'm not sure if you can hear it. I do hear it.
For me, it's incredibly subtle.
Yeah.
When you first plugged the load in and we had the 4x12 in the other room, I thought I was hearing a bit more top end.
Yeah.
I thought it sounded a tiny bit thinner.
Yeah. Exactly.
But
This
otherwise, okay, so my ears were correct in that sense, but otherwise, right now, I'm not hearing
okay. So,
anything at all.
So this would be an IR loader standard. This is me using a impedance correction. And this is using the real deal. I can hear the sparkle, and when I dig in, it is not annoying. It's not like a high end that is always there. It's just there when I want it. And it's, okay, that's me. Okay. I can do a similar thing with something from our laboratory, which is two resistors, and this is a so-called non-reactive load because it's a simple resistor having 8 ohms and nothing else. So, by the way, we have these beautiful T-shirts and the Academy of and
I'm wearing a new shirt. We got more shirts.
yeah, we got more shirts, and they are of course all on our web store. BluGuitar.com, blah blah blah. So, and I'm using this brand new T-shirt to put that non-reactive load on an iridium, not to scratch it, and then fiddling around with the chords. Okay, this is okay. Try to remember that sound.
Sounded pretty similar.
Wait a minute. No. I'm sure I switched something. I got too many things. Hold that for a second. Let me see what's going on. Oh, I'm surrounded by microphones and too many cables. Yeah, this isn't the best. Do we have a signal? We have no signal. Amp, speaker A, B. No, speaker A. I think I killed something. Who cares? I think this was stupid. Maybe I have to build this back, like rebuild from scratch and see where we started to make nonsense. This goes into nothing. This goes into here. And the guitar is that quiet. I could still switch to another amp if I would go into this one and see if yeah, okay. Anyway, let's see. We are back on the block and okay. Let's see if we hear the difference from again, or if I can kill anything else here. Let's see. Okay. This is a non-reactive load. And to me, it's a bit boring.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same character. It's also quieter, so that makes a difference.
Yeah, I mean that's the impedance. But
Yep.
let's get the. That's the real deal. That's the speaker. And now I have another toy here, which is the Marshall SE100, which is a reactive load. Can we show this gentleman here? Camera here, SE100. And I see the switches. Yeah, the SE100 is kind of these big resistors plus some stuff that coils and transformers to give you something like a load. Anyway, so this is the real deal. And now I unplug this and I plug the SE100 in, and it should be exactly the same, but sounds good, but it's not exactly the same.
No.
But it's 10 times better than what we had before. Let's go back for this. That's a non-reactive load. You know, it's so flat, it's so boring. Okay. All I'm saying here is, if you have the chance to have a reactive load, or even better, if you have a speaker, a proper speaker, you can put the master volume down, but you use the speaker on the output and you get the best tone. So that's what I tried to show you guys, is if you can afford even at living room volume to record your guitar with a real speaker connected on the system, that's the best result you can get. And you don't need to crank the power amp to max. Only that kind of interaction between the power amp and the speaker alone gives you more than having other things. So that's my recommendation. Try to have a speaker. Maybe you can put them in another corner of the room, or you put them next to you, depending on how loud you can do it, or you put it on the floor. Or you don't need much volume. Just have it working while you're recording, and it doesn't need to be loud, and it sounds so much more alive. Okay.
Is there any possible way to recreate that without actually having a speaker, or is it basically what we have with the BluBox is as close as you can get?
With the BluBox, I recreated that thing on the electronic side, but it is not the same like as a speaker, because it's a fixed kind of filter curve that I can do. And it doesn't interact the same way like a load does. The load, it works with the amp, and that's the point. It is a more organic thing, that the action and interaction of, and the speaker is the most organic thing. The reactive load is the second most organic thing, and then having a compensation is the third thing. I hope you could hear those tiny differences, but they exist. I do care about them, and my recommendation is try to go for it. And the way reactive loads are designed is also different. I like that SE100 a lot, because this is a massive reactive load. They put a lot of material inside, big stuff that makes the low end so nice and dynamic. It's still one of the coolest loads to me. Yeah, but it's a massive piece of gear.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okie doke. So for me, that's to record how to record with IRs, or with a load, or with the BluBox. And in a live situation, I'm using my FATCAB in combination with the BluBox, and the tone coming from the XLR out. This is exactly what you hear now.
Yeah.
Here on the live stream is killer. I'm not missing anything. And every time I try to go back for a microphone, at least on my favorite cabinet, I'm disappointed. It's like the BluBox is better, because I spend so much time kind of maxing out every little cabinet IR and in miking, in mic placement, in whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so consistent as well, and you literally just plug it in and go.
Yeah.
Whereas with a microphone, even if you find that perfect setting one night or one session, it's going to be lost the next time, and you may never find it again.
Yeah. And therefore, the BluBox has only two knobs. It's like dial in the cabinet and maybe use some duct tape and leave it there, and forget about it.
Yeah.
That's the idea about the BluBox for me.
Yeah. Here's a quick question about the BluBox. Which cabinet is best on the BluBox for classic rock sounds like AC/DC or Kiss?
Well, if you ask me, the Stack 1970, that's my personal favorite, which I'm using every time here on the live stream. I know some other people like that too, but the one next to them, the 1967, is also very cool for AC/DC. It's a bit more elegant. This is the 1970, and this is the 67. They all are great in a way, but which one is best? The 70 is the one I used on all my records, on all my live gigs, so it can't be bad.
Here's another question about speakers. Gabrielle says, can I use a speaker without a membrane, using only the speaker coil?
I'm not the biggest expert on that. I would say it might work, but the coil will melt, and it's not the same effect.
Yeah. Someone saying they think that maybe Alan Holdsworth experimented with that approach. That's something I'm not really familiar with.
There's like, I know of a speaker that takes away the permanent magnetism, so you kind of move the coil from out of the Spalt. Oh, English.
That's the word I can't.
So you lose volume, but that's all kind of weird stuff that never convinced me. Yeah. Okay. Any more questions here? I'm getting a few more comments here, which is great. Yeah. Poo Ninja, Poo, hope we're doing well. Okay, where's 50 cycle hum? Is he on here? Okay, I just see some. It could. I see here. Could this be any even cheap speaker? Yes. Any speaker is better than no speaker, and if a good any speaker is a good load. If you don't mic up the membrane, that sounds ugly, and it's still a good load, and the BluBox does the job. So have your Guerilla amp speaker, Gorilla, Montabo, and use a BluBox with it, and it sounds killer.
Yeah. Here's a question that goes back to a previous Academy of Tone that we did. Alex said he's really enjoying your tips on improvisation that you've been providing recently, and he also wondered if in a future episode you could demonstrate how you play something like Strat King or one of your other instrumentals.
Okay, that's a good point. I would love to go a bit more into teaching in general. We started to do some clips on my favorite Alle meine Entchen, and I'm using that as my reference point for a diatonic scale, which is a major scale. And if we should post some of these other clips we've done and showing you what you can do with only those few notes, if you know how to use them.
Yeah.
And I would love to do more of that kind of things. That's a very good point, because I think I have a few little tricks that makes everybody's life easier, and you will enjoy.
Yeah, in future we can definitely do more of those. Someone says we need to make a BluGuitar 4x12. Someone says a 4x15.
Oh no, let's put it that way. 4x12. I love old 4x12s, and these are still my sound reference. But a 4x12 is it's way too big. It's I used to half of my life I used to play with 4x12s, and I know how it feels, but I'm too weak to lift them. Guys, this is over. It's like, it's no fun. Why should I do this? And there are so many great used 4x12s by the old Marshall 4x12s. They are the best, still the best. Of course, some of them get super high prices these days too. But I'm not a big. I'm a big fan of the tone of a 4x12, and I'm a big fan of. But don't let me carry it. It's over. Yeah. So I don't see BluGuitar 4x12s, not yet, unless you come up with a flap that makes something easy to transform and it's made out of Kevlar and it weighs nothing and has Neodymium speakers. But hey, it would move so much air that they throw me out of the stage immediately. Okay.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's the problem with 4x12s.
Yeah.
Could you use a BluBox with an FR speaker for live applications?
sure. Yeah. I mean, in the AMP1, you can use a BluBox in the effects loop, and then go out the speaker out and use an FR cabinet, and then you go tweak your FR speaker to any of those BluBox speakers. That works.
Yeah.
Done.
Lewis says, following a recent episode where we tried various cabinets together, following a recent live stream that we did, he got a NanoCab to complement his FATCAB,
Yeah.
and he's absolutely loving the new tone. So that's good to hear.
Yeah. I mean, I played that combination too a couple of times, and this will always be the choice when I have a huge stage where I need a bigger area where I can move with the guitar, and especially with me and the 3-piece, where I have the room, and sometimes I have to fill the room, because it's like if you're standing there, nothing happens. But if I, do a little show and go on the edge of the stage or to the right, then a second cabinet is killer. And the FATCAB and the NanoCab, they kind of complement each other. There's a creaminess in the NanoCab that blends so well with the FATCAB. They are great together.
Yeah. Osmium Studios says, have you tried Jensen speakers?
Yes, I tried many Jensens. I tried a lot of the Neo Jensens. When it comes to Neo speakers, I'm still not convinced, guys. I like the idea of Neo speakers. I'm working on something, but it's not there yet. And the Jensens have impressed me the most up to yet, but I'm not happy. And I have Neo Creambacks, I have Neo Jensens, I have the Tornado, and whatever it's called, and the Stealth, and them all. And it is not good enough yet for my taste. And the other thing is the old Jensens killer in Fender amps. But they are one-trick ponies, which means Fender only. If I play those speakers in other amps, it's great for one specific tone, but it's not like what I'm doing using clean tones, crunch tones, and lead tones. Jensen in a Fender amp and pedals works, but it's a different concept.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's something we can also try when we get the speaker tests going on.
Yeah.
So you can kind of show people on why you think that there are better options.
It's a huge topic. I mean, if you go into detail, I think it's a huge topic. I think one world is just closed back cabinets and speakers for closed back cabinets, and then another world is open back cabinets and then speakers for that, and then there's a few speakers that work in both worlds, but there's like some combinations that actually don't work.
Yeah.
They're like, very weird.
Yeah. We have a recommendation, a Jensen Tornado Stealth 65.
Sure, I have that.
Amazing
next door.
Neodymium speaker.
Yeah, I know. And that's the best Neo speaker out there currently, but still not good enough for what I wanted. It's there.
Yeah. Poo Ninja also says, how is the Neodymium drivers coming along? Taking time.
Taking time. It's a project that always took a year at least. And I'm on sample number 3. As we talked about cabinets, it's like sample number 1, number 2, number 3, and there's number 4. And going into a new world, which means Neo speakers is a different driver, is a different magnetism, there's a lot of parameters that need to be changed. It's not like two versions and done. No, it's like first version somewhere, and then second is closer, and then one parameter is right, but this is missing. So it is ready whenever it's ready. I know what I want, and I have described it very well in graphics, in samples, everything. but it's an art. Sometimes I don't know how these guys can design speakers. It's like there's nothing. There's a membrane, a spider, and a little bit of wire is basically nothing. And to make all these complex changes is a mystery to me. But I know what I want, and I know who to talk to, and yeah, that's my fun.
Yeah, so maybe by live stream 100, we'll have some more news about those.
Yeah, I'm hoping for it.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone's saying this is a slightly different tack now. Maybe it's a good thing to end on. Do you have any tone recommendations for Duesenberg guitars or pickups? It would be great to see a live stream featuring some of those.
The Duesenberg guitars, you know, Atze is doing this brand for I don't know how many years, 30 years or 20, or feels like very long. And Duesenberg is one of those few brands that actually came up with their own vibe, look, of course, a little bit inspired of Gretsch guitars, a little bit here. And what I like about the guitars is they have a certain transparency, which me as a Strat player like about them. What I could give you as a hint is dial back the gain a bit from what I do with the Strat, because I'm kind of always at very high settings with the Strat. Go back to like 6 instead of 8 or 10. And that's a good starting point for Duesenberg guitars in general. Of course, there are so many different models and versions, but they are kind of more living in this kind of range, and they work well with the Amp-1. Tried it. I don't have a Duesenberg. Why? That's actually a good question. I have too many guitars anyhow, and after 30 years, I discovered me as a Les Paul guy as well as being the Strat guy, and you holding my whatever 64 335, which is a killer studio guitar, but I think I never played that live. And I tell you one reason for it. Imagine you would do that and you would see this on stage. I can see this break the wood.
Yeah.
And this is for me not a live guitar. And can you see this is waxed? And that's the problem about the bridges. They can rattle.
They rattle, yeah.
Yeah. And in the studio, this was a guitar that I used a lot in the studio. It's for instance also used on No Angels, my number one. I have to tell you that story another day, which is how to make guitar recordings for a number one single in Germany. This was done on this guitar and the Strat, but this was the main guitar on that No Angels single. And it was like half an hour to midnight, 11:30. And the producers were ringing me and said, "Hey Thomas, what are you doing?" I said, "I'm in front of the computer, I have to do some text shit, stuff." And they go, "We need some guitars." And then said, "What is it?" "Oh, No Angels." "When?" "Now. They're coming tomorrow at 9 in the studio." 11:30, midnight, close to midnight. "Okay, send me the tracks." And they sent me the verse, the bridge, and the chorus at no specific meter, like 8 bars each. There was not even an arrangement. So they sent me the tempo, the stuff. I made an arrangement, and I played some guitars on top of it. I played some bass on top of it. I played some. The only request was, do it English, whatever English means, So, and I sent back the files maybe 2 in the morning, and then I went to sleep. And the same week, like 5 days later, the thing was already in the charts at number 1.
Wow.
Unbelievable. I have the CD downstairs. We show that another episode.
Yeah, that'd be a good story. Yeah.
This was played on that on that particular guitar.
Yeah, so it's been on a #1
Yeah.
record. Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course the next guitar you'll be getting will be a Flying V, by the sound of it.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, if I find a good one, the problem is now I know how good Flying V can be, and then find one that inspires me as much as the one that costs 350,000 is another thing. Let's put it that way. I spent my life without a V. If I find a good one affordable, I go for it, because now I know what I can do with it. And if the guitar doesn't speak to me and says, hello, you are not new V, I have the music built in for you, I will not buy it, because it's either an inspiring instrument or useless for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't put it on the wall. It's an iconic guitar. I mean, the looks is incredible, but you know, it would be another guitar that just sits somewhere, and it needs to have a good tone. Then I'm all in.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I think last question, or is it?
We got loads coming in. Let's just do some very quick 5-second answers from you.
Yeah.
Any experiences with Gretsch Filtertrons?
Yeah, Filtertrons are a very special design. I like them because they are a bit more open than other pickups, and you know, Filtertrons have been used also by AC/DC. Malcolm Young, I think he had some of those. Great pickups. Yeah.
Any thoughts on barefaced audio cabinets?
I don't know them actually.
No?
Barefaced.
Okay, something else to look at.
We check it out. It's something for tonight.
And, yeah, someone says Schenker needs to start playing BluGuitar equipment instead.
There's nothing wrong about that.
No.
I mean, the thing is, you know, there's Rudolf Schenker. I mean, which Schenker are you talking about? Rudolf Schenker or Michael Schenker?
I'm assuming Rudolf Schenker, because he's been a subject of the stream tonight.
Yeah.
But maybe both.
I'm sure that Rudolf never has to carry any of his gear, because he is the real proper rock star. And the thing is, I don't know what he's playing actually. Probably some boutique amps or some Marshalls, and I met Matthias Jabs a couple of times. I actually had no chance to meet Michael Schenker yet, but Bodo Schopf, the drummer that I record with in the Rock Anarchy, there's a CD I have to show you. Yep, that's the one. Which is this gentleman over here. Let me show you. Because Bodo has played with Michael Schenker, and he plays again with Michael Schenker. And here he is. This is Bodo Schopf, the one and only. And by the way, so maybe if they are on tour again, I have probably a chance to have a chat with him and see if whatever. Let's see. I mean, I like him. I like the way his melodic phrasing. Yeah, I met Rudolf Schenker briefly a couple of years ago. All good, nice guy. But yeah, Michael is on my list.
Good. Well, 2 more questions which you shouldn't answer now, because I think it sounds like a good idea for a future episode, and that would be modern guitar heroes, because we've got people asking about thoughts on Bonamassa and his gear addiction, and also people asking for tips on John Mayer sounds.
Okay.
And of course, when we talk about sort of younger rock and blues players, we think about Bonamassa and John Mayer. So I'm thinking that might be a really good thing for you to delve into in more detail in the future.
In the future, yeah, that's cool. I met Joe Bonamassa twice, and I haven't been to Nerdville yet.
One day.
One day, you'll never know. You know, last time we met in LA in a pizzeria, that was pretty close, and if I meet him another time, and then we will, you know, there's stuff to talk when we talked about venues that he played, that I also play, where I saw his old posters and stuff like. Do you remember this dressing room here and how smelly that was? Oh yeah, and he knew that. Yes, it's all good. Yeah. So hey, thanks for the input here. I think today we had a few things that we keep in mind for our future episodes, which is great.
Yep. Loads of great questions, loads of interaction. So keep it up. We enjoy it very much. And I'm sorry that we can't get to all the questions every show, but there's just too many. And I do try to remember them, and we ask them next week, or we'll create future episodes around them. So.
Which is good. So always great to hear this. Stuff. I see exotic posters. So many topics.
Yeah, so many questions for future episodes, which are coming up soon.
We go through to the comments and get some stuff for the next episodes to come. So this was number 51.
Yep.
And I'm happy to be alive after 51 episodes of Academy of Tone.
I'm happy to be alive after you blowing up that, and after me just kicking over my water onto the wires a minute
today
ago
was the day of destruction.
So we're all good. Don't try any of this at home, kids. It's not worth it. And
but it must be
warranty.
fun. Okay, see you next week. Take care, guys.
See ya.
Bye bye. Stay safe.